Hi, Mrs. Stanley here. Let's practice identifying transformations. First, let me apologize if the rain is very loud. I want to go ahead and get this video done so that you have plenty of time to do it at your convenience. So I apologize for the noise. Let's look at the objective. I can identify parent functions and transformations graphically and algebraically. So the first thing we're going to do is look at algebraic, and you can tell because there's no graphs here. So, given each function, identify both the parent function and the transformations from the parent function. If you don't have these things memorized, I do strongly encourage you to have your transformations reference sheet with you, and that will help. So first, what is the parent function here? The parent function of x cubed minus 4 would be y equals x cubed, right? And then what's different? What has happened? The transformation, I'm not going to write that out. I'm not going to write out parent function going forward either. What is different between f of x equals x cubed minus 4 and I should have written f of x equals x cubed instead of y? Let me fix it. The only difference is the minus 4, right? So remember, that's going to be f of x minus k, which means it's going to translate down 4. So this is going to go down 4 units. Let's look at number 2. What is our parent function? Notice this square root. I don't see any other exponents. I don't see any other identifiers. So my parent function is going to be f of x equals the square root of x. And this time, I've got a lot more transformations, right? I have the times 2. I have the negative outside the parentheses. I have minus 1 inside the parentheses. So we got to look at this. The multiplying by 2 here, that's my A. And so that's a vertical stretch by 2. See if I can write this all in this little box. Oh, that was supposed to be an H. A vertical stretch by 2. That's this one. And then I've got that negative. That's going to reflect me across the y-axis. Because of the negative is outside the x minus 1, right? And then what's going to happen here, I've got a minus 1 or a subtract 1 inside the parentheses with the x. So that is actually going to translate me to the right 1. And I actually would have rather said, let's change my pen color back. Let's say that we're going to translate down 4 instead of just saying down 4. I like that better. Okay, so let's go to the next one. I'm not going to do all of these with you, but we'll do a few at least to get started, and then I'll let you try it and check with the answer key. Looking here at number 3, we've got that squared on the x. So we know we have an x squared. There's nothing else jumping out at us, so we're going to say that the parent function is going to be x squared. F of x equals x squared, which is the quadratic, right? So lucky for you, I'm not going to make you name it, but it doesn't help to hurt that. It doesn't hurt to memorize that. So that's our parent function. What transformations do we have here? Well, we've got the 1/4 multiplied by the x, and that's going to be a b value because it's inside the parentheses with the x. So that's a horizontal stretch by 1/4, I'm sorry. Oh no, because remember when it's b, we flip it over, we take the reciprocal. So it is by 4. I was right when I said that first. So it's stretching by 4 because remember for b, the scale factor is the reciprocal. And then the reflection across the x-axis is caused by that negative. So reflection across the x-axis. And then the last thing is that we've got this plus 6. And so that's going to translate us up 6 because it's outside the parentheses. Translate up 6. So you're getting the idea here? Okay, it's just going to get a little bit more challenging every time, but just take it one step at a time. Pay attention if your numbers are inside or outside the parentheses, where are they located, and that's going to help you to know, are you dealing with A or B? Are you dealing with a vertical stretch or a horizontal stretch? Are you dealing with a translation? or, you know, up or down or left or right. Think about how those things all come together. I'm just looking to see if there's any others that I should specifically go over with you first. I know on number 8, we are relatively unfamiliar with the greatest integer function. You may have heard of that as a step function. I think it at one point in time was called a floor function, but I'm not completely sure. But I know it used to be called a step function because of how the graph looks like steps. But so let's look at that one. So the parent function on that one is going to be f of x equals, and you're just going to put the x inside that double bracket, okay? That's the parent function. And then what are my transformations here? Well, I know I have the x minus 5 is inside, and so that's actually going to translate me to the right 5 units. Because it's a minus 5, but it's the translation right or left. We change the sign, remember? So we go to the right 5. And then also, we've got that dividing by 2. Think of that as multiplying by 1/2. So it's actually going to be a horizontal stretch. The reciprocal of 1/2 is 2. So think about that. This would be the same thing as 1/2 times x minus 5. And the 1/2 would be your b value, okay? And so the 1 over b would change to 2 over 1. Okay, that's how I did that. And then what's the last thing that's happened here? We have the minus 1 on the outside, which does what? That translates me down 1. So even though we aren't even used to this function, we can still take care of it relatively well, right? So you have the answer key to check your answers if you feel like you need to. I would highly recommend that so that you can feel confident about what's happening. And then I want to go to the next page because we still have to look at graphically. Because remember, our objective was to do it graphically and algebraically. So using the graph of each function, identify the parent function, then write an equation for the function under each transformation. This might be a little harder, but you've got that other paper to look at, and you have your parent functions graphic organizer, so that will work also to help you. But I can tell by looking at this is my absolute value, right? F of x equals the absolute value of x. Translate 4 units right. What would happen? 4 units right. That means that I'm going to have to put a minus 4 inside. Because remember, when we're going left and right, we do the opposite sign. So right would be positive, so we put minus 4. But it has to go inside with the x. And then what else? The next one, C, reflect in the x-axis and translate 5 units up. So how do we reflect in the x-axis? That's going to be a negative, and we have to think about, is the negative inside or outside, like with the x or on the whole function? And since we are wanting to reflect in the x-axis, it's going to come out in the front. So I've got I'm not sure how I changed pen color, but that's okay. I've got negative absolute value of x, and then it says translate 5 units up. That's going to be a plus 5 outside. Okay? So looking at this one, this parent function is going to be the reciprocal. F of x equals 1 over x. Translate 7 units down and 3 units left. Okay, to translate 7 units down, that means I'm going to subtract 7 at the end of the function, right? The 3 units left means that the x is going to have a plus 3. So it's going to become f of x. My 1 stays the same, and on the bottom, 3 units left. It's the opposite because we're going left and right. So instead of minus 3, it's going to be plus 3. And then the 7 units down is outside of where the x is. It's just added on to the end of the function. And then one more, horizontally stretch by a factor of 3. So to horizontally stretch, that means we're multiplying, remember? We're multiplying by 3. And then we are translating 2 units right. So basically what's going to happen is I have my f of x equals 3 times 1 over 2 units right is going to be minus 2, right? And actually, since this is a horizontal stretch, I did not write that completely accurate. Let's look at it a different way. The x is on the bottom, so horizontal stretch, it's not a factor of 3, it's the reciprocal of 3. So you're going to see that my answer was actually correct, but I was actually jumping ahead because we have x minus 2 on the bottom. Now what happens when I do the 1/3 in the denominator? If you recall, that's going to end up being 3 over x minus 2. Okay? So again, I don't want to do every single problem for you. I want you to think it through on your own. So go ahead and try 13, 14. Okay, 15 and 16 are some challenge problems for you. I will let you think through those on your own and see what you get, and then you can check on the answer key.